now recognize Ms. Malliotakis from New York for 5 minutes of question.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate this discussion. I think it's really important to safeguard our future. The U.S. biosecurity rules don't apply overseas, as has been mentioned here, yet federal money went to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and we know now that they had inadequate training, they had subpar conditions. The FBI and Department of Energy testimony here in this committee as well point to the fact that the COVID came from the lab. So my question is really regarding how do we have no centralized oversight or standards. There's not enough risk assessment. There needs to be a set of standards that are met to receive U.S. tax dollars, in my opinion. We saw what happened with money going either directly to WIV or through Eco Health Alliance. So should we stop federal grants from being sent to foreign subrecipients like it did through Eco Health, particularly if they don't have biosecurity rules that are comparable to ours?
Is that for me?
Whoever would like to answer.
First I would just point, there's the National Science for Advisory Board report of March 2023 actually has a recommendation regarding international funding and the need, essentially, I'll summarize it, if international funded research should comply with the same standards that we have in the United States. That's essentially summarized one of the recommendations in that report.
What's the best way to determine that, if they are, if they aren't?
Well, you need to have oversight. I can just give an example. I don't know if this is an example, but what I used to do when I was a commander of a high containment lab, this is 20 years ago, and we did not fund international research, but we funded domestic research. Most of our research was done intramurally, but we had some extramural contracts. But we would always have a site visit from one of our own biosafety officers, government biosafety officer, to provide a detailed inspection and then further on-site visits later on. But that's just what I did 20 years ago when I was commander of USAMRIID.
Doctor, I'd like to give you an opportunity to also respond.
Thank you. I mean, I think the main thing I'll say is I do think we should be conducting more effective biosafety and biosecurity pre-funding review to make sure that any grantee, domestically or internationally, is in compliance with our standards. I think that makes sense.
Should we just not allow foreign grant subrecipients? If one entity here in the United States gets a grant, is it appropriate for them to then, move that money over to a facility overseas?
Well, subcontracting is pretty normal in federal acquisitions, whether it be life science research or other lines of research. So subcontracting is fairly common and often needed to get the right expertise or the right location. You need to do whatever work may be done. But we need to make sure that whatever federal acquisition regulation requirements flow down to the subcontractor, and the subcontractor is complying with those requirements.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Dingell from Michigan for 5 minutes.